Secure vCenter server and ESXi. Okay, I think this is like the 13th or 14th of these series I've done for CBT Nuggets. And every single one of these series has one nugget on permissions and roles. It's like every single technology these days has got its own permissions model, and they're all kind of the same. The role-based access control sort of mindset has really pervaded the industry because it really honestly is a smart way to secure your environment. And so if you're familiar with really any product's role-based access control, then you're probably well suited to take that information and roll it into some other product's role-based access control if you can just find where the different screens are to make the necessary configurations. So once again, I have another nugget for you on role-based access control, this time as it relates to vCenter Server and ESXi. In this nugget, we're going to add to that a couple of miscellaneous topics here associated with the ESXi firewall, and then also how to add an ESXi host to a directory service. So right now, we have this vCenter thing, right, and then we have these ESXi things that sit beneath it. And if you remember, when we first added in those hosts into our vCenter server, one of the things that we did is we created this sort of root username and permission, username and password. That was the mechanism by which the vCenter side of the equation could then authenticate to the ESX side and do whatever it is that the ESX side needs to do. Now we can actually add these hosts to a directory service, such as Active Directory if you want, to provide that authentication from some external service. Totally doable. I'm going to show you some of the basics about how this works. You can either store the information on the host itself, or you can use a directory service as proxy if you want. I'll kind of give you some ideas about how that might work. I want to spend just a minute on the ESXi firewall. Right out of the box, the firewall includes and opens up a fairly, good set of ports that you need in order to do what you need to do. The I operating system is remarkably intelligent in the way that it reduces its attack surface area down to as bare minimum as possible. So particularly in comparison with Windows, but in comparison with ESXi is sort of appliance-based approach to how it deals with what it needs to do. Very intelligent. And then also we're going to go through the whole process of identifying what the privileges and roles are, what the different tasks are inside of vCenter server, and how you would configure those permissions, users, groups, and roles. But let's begin with taking a look back here at our vSphere client, same thing we've been working with throughout this entire period. And you remember that we have been actually kind of going back to those marketing people and that resource group that those marketing people that we created for them not that long ago. So those marketing people sometimes have a need to be able to do things. Right? So when we have a group of people that need to be able to do things, then we have to give them the permissions to be able to do those things. Well, we can either do this at the cluster level or at the data center level. You'll notice that we've been sort of skipping past this little tab over here called permissions. Now here in permissions I have administrators, I have the role of administrator, and it's defined at vc.company.pri, which is the top level. This is the location where you would actually add in a new user or group to a specific role. Now if I click add permission here, you see the available users and groups that we have. Now I think I mentioned earlier that one of the reasons for creating those marketing people and the resource pool that's assigned for those marketing people is so that I could offload some of that scut work associated with doing all those tasks that they want me to do all the time. Maybe allow them to create their own virtual machines, and then I don't have to worry about it. Now, in order to be able to do that, I've already created the resource pool at this point. That constrains the number of resources that they can make use of. But right now, the only person that